Hey everyone, and welcome to my walkthrough for Phase 6 of the Omega Protocol Ultimate. Now, before we jump into this one, there's one thing that you need to know. So first things first, you need to have a limit break 3 ready when going into this fight, so you can't use it on Phase 5. You also need your entire party with 3 Dynamis stacks. The reason for this is because all of the attacks of Alpha Omega are going to be doing an insane amount of damage, so much damage that you can't survive it through normal means. So that is why we need our tank limit break 3 to survive the first mechanic. Now this first mechanic will also transform our Dynamis stacks into a brilliant Dynamis buff, and this is what is going to be giving us a ridiculous amount of mitigation, which is going to allow us to survive through the fight. On top of giving you this damage reduction, the Brilliant Dynamis buff also allows you to use a limit break without actually consuming the limit break gauge, and we'll be needing all of these limit breaks to do mechanics as well as meet the DPS check. After you use the limit break, your debuff changes into a new Dynamis buff, which doesn't allow you to use a free LB anymore, but it still gives you the damage reduction. What is important to note though is that if you die at any point during this phase, you are going to be losing your Dynamis buff, which means that you're going to be dying to every mechanic that follows, which will quickly spiral out of control and end up causing a wipe. So first thing that you'll want to do as you come out of the cutscene is walk out of the wall, because you do get knocked into the wall during the transition. And then we get Cosmo Memory. This is a raid-wide attack for which we need our tank LB and also some light mitigation. Don't need to spend too much mitigation on this. And then of course, as you can see, all of our Dynamis buffs have now turned into Brilliant Dynamis. Now after each major attack that the boss does, he is going to be doing 2 auto attacks, and these are baited by aggro and by distance. So the first player in aggro is going to be getting one of the auto attacks, the furthest player away is going to be getting the second one. So that is why you can see our paladin stand over here on the right on the boss's hitbox, and that is also why the team is standing inside the boss's hitbox. Positioning is very important throughout this entire phase for multiple mechanics, so do try and pay attention to where you are positioning yourself. So that's the first auto attack, and that's the second one. Then we go into Cosmo Arrow. Now Cosmo Arrow has 2 variations. You have outside save first, and then you have inside save first. Those are the 2 different ones. I'll show them both back to back. Now for the very first Cosmo Arrow, we're also getting a Cosmo Dive mechanic on top of this, which is a mechanic that has 3 attacks going out. It has 2 tank busters and 1 group share. The 2 tank busters are baited by distance, as in the 2 players closest to the boss will get the tank busters and the furthest player away will get the group stack. So again, very important that you position yourself correctly. Now for the outside first pattern, you want to position on the outside and then move out. Wait 2 explosions, move in, wait 1, move out, wait 1, move in, and then we stack up for Cosmo Dive. So for Cosmo Dive over here, we have our tanks closest to the boss, and the group is going to be staying where we were doing the dodge. Now, what you might have also noticed is that some players are going to be dodging left and right instead of on the 2 marker itself, like I am doing, and that is because the second time when we're going to be seeing this mechanic, we actually need to be all spread away from each other as we are dodging the Cosmo Arrow. So the dive goes out right here, and then we go and see it a second time. So this is with the inside save first. So for this one, we move in, we wait 2, then we move out, and this time we wait 2 as well, and then you dodge to the side if you want to do that, and then we move in. And then of course the group stacks up on 2 and our tanks are going to be inside the boss's hitbox, spread away from each other, very important. Then of course, because we just had a mechanic, we're getting 2 tank auto attacks, so they're going to be spread away from each other, one on the outside and one on the inside. Then we get Unlimited Wave Cannon. This is the Exa flare of this fight. As you can see one of the wave cannons spawn on the 1 marker. Now these are going clockwise or counterclockwise around the edge of the arena. So as soon as you find one, just look where the others are spawning. Now because I'm not seeing any more spawn on the left side of this Exa flare, they're spawning on the right side. So we are going left of this one, and then we're curving right around the edge of the arena to move into them to dodge these Exa flares. So we're moving between 4 and 8 to drop our puddles, because we're going to be dropping 6 puddles in total here. So we're dropping the first 3 as we move to the wall, and then we are dropping 3 more alongside the wall. Then we're using mitigation, and then we are sprinting away into our spread positions. because Wave Cannon will do 2 sets of 4 laser beams on random players, so you want to be spread for that. And then Wave Cannon itself, when it finishes casting, will do a heavy hitting group stack. Now the 2 first players in line will also take bonus damage, so you do want your tanks with tank cooldowns standing in front of the group. Then we get Cosmo Arrow number 2, so this one was outside save again, and for this one we need to split up. So as you'll see, we're dodging together in our quadrants right now, and then as we move back in, we're now going to be splitting up so that everybody has kind of got their own spot on the arena. 4 players on the Cardinals, 4 players on the Intercardinals, and then we have the 4 first laser beams, the 4 second laser beams. Again, heal up, mitigate, tanks in front, and then that is the second one done. Again, 2 tank auto attacks, and then we go into the second unlimited wave cannon. So go back to the middle, look where they are spawning. This time they're going left, so we are going right of the first Exa Flare between 2 and C, dropping the first 3 puddles to the wall, the next 3 as we move along the edge. Use your mitigation, and this time around the group is staying because we're getting Cosmo Dive. So again, the group needs to be furthest away, the 2 tanks need to run in. And this is also where you'll want to use your first melee limit break, because you have a lot of time. Just kind of stand still right here, and of course do auto attacks again. The only thing you do have to pay attention to if you're a melee using a limit break here, or at least the first melee, is that you move into the boss's hitbox slightly so that you're not animation locked as the tank auto attacks are about to happen. So stand on the hitbox or slightly inside of the hitbox when you use the limit break, so that during the auto attacks the off tank has an easy time baiting the auto attacks. Then we have Cosmo Meteor. For this we're going to be stacking up because we're getting these huge AoEs underneath us. Then we're going to be spreading out to our spread positions once again. And then we're gonna have a couple things happen. So first things that's happening is we're getting 3 instances of damage. Everybody is going to be hit by 2 drops of meteors. These are single target AoEs on all the players, so you need to heal up and mitigate between the 2 hits. And then at the end we're getting a group share and 3 spread markers, or 3 flare markers, proximity markers, whatever you want to call them. Together with that, we have all of these meteors spawning. Now the first thing that's going to happen is our summoner is going to be using the caster limit break to kill all the small meteors and deal a good chunk of damage to the big ones. After that, our ranged is going to be limit breaking the big meteors to kill them. All of these meteors will die to limit break damage, so don't touch these with your GCDs or other resources, spend all of those on the boss. It's also important that your ranged will always be positioned in the north or the south, because that is where the big meteors will spawn. In our case, the ranged is positioned on the north side of the arena. So that's the first part of this mechanic. Everybody spread out, use your limit breaks, have 1 healer run middle so that they can shield and mitigate the second hit of the meteors, which you can see right here, and then heal and mitigate again for the proximity markers and the group stack. Now what's important here is that your ranged player calls out if they have the group stack or if they have the proximity markers. Reason being is if they have a proximity marker, we need to move away from north and go stack south. If they do not have a proximity marker, we need to bring the group share to him, because of course we don't know if he has the stack or if somebody else does, and you want to have all 5 players in that stack regardless, so that's why you need a little bit of communication there. Outside of that, the other players spread around with their flare markers, and then we are done with this mechanic. After this is done, we still have 1 more instance of damage to go, or technically 2 more, which is magic number. This requires a tank LB to survive. And then after this you get a debuff, which needs to be cleansed with a healer limit break. Now after this is done, you don't need to heal anymore. Tank LB and full HP is enough to survive all of the damage here. So we have magic number 2. So tank LB again. After that's done, healer limit break to cleanse all of the debuffs. And then we still have 1 limit break left, which can be spent on another melee limit break. Of course, we don't have any dynamis buffs anymore, so it's just going to be the last limit break firing. And then we just need to kill the boss before Run Dynamis finishes casting, as that is the boss's end rage. So that's going to be doing it for phase 6 of the Omega Protocol Ultimate. If you have any more questions about the fight, then feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll definitely get back to you. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.